When I opened up Millie Peartree Fish, oh sorry, that's that same damn truck? Yeah. Jeez Louise, he used to go about his business, child, messing people up. Look, here come the plane, child. I'm gonna need all of y'all to get it together out here. Got what you paid for? Yeah. Okay. Sneeze, 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 sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. All right, we good. Hi, my name is Millie Peartree, and I'm from the Boogie Down Bronx, New York. When I think of soul food, when I think of the Bronx, I think of it as home. There was no other place other than the Bronx I wanted to bring my skill, my technique, and my restaurant. I grew up there, that's why I learned how to cook. So I said, why not be able to bring something I love so much to the borough that essentially raised me. I grew up cooking with my mama. Oh gosh, you're gonna make me cry. All right, we might have to come back to that, just in case the tears come. All right, one of the levels of encouragement my mother always instilled in me was, you can do it. I honestly wanted to go to culinary school, but one thing I remember was she was not gonna pay for me to do something I already knew how to do, so I had to go to college and get a bachelor's in sociology. Oh, child. My mom was from Savannah, Georgia. My maternal grandfather lived with me. He passed away when I was really young, but I think that all the recipes came from somewhere below the Mason-Dixon line. Like, that's just the way we cooked, that's just the way we ate, that's what we grew up on. We just don't want it to burn. Nobody wants scorched pudding. I'm gonna take a break for a second. Yeah. We gonna take a break. We gonna take a break. Hey, we gonna take a break. So you start to see like these bubbles form and your arm starts really hurting. You've reached your consistency. One of the things in general that I think I do well is old school type cooking. It's very nostalgic. Even when I look back at it, you know, my times going down south on the bus, you know, times with my mom, times with my aunt, times with my cousins, it just brings comfort to you. So one thing about Southern food is it's kind of making things your own. It's not necessarily recipe based. So I think anything could be soul food as long as it's coming from the heart, as long as it's coming from a great place. I cook with soul, I cook with flavor, but most importantly, it comes from the heart. If your heart isn't in it, it's gonna totally show in the food. It's just nice to have something that's down home, traditional, no frills, the street, old school type cooking. I mean, that's the way I look at it, man. I mean, banana pudding is a staple. However, you know, my little spin on it is kind of like a bananas Foster. I kind of caramelize it to develop some color and depth, so when they eat it, they have another layer of flavor. Smell that? Doesn't that smell good? Southern food is something that we always had. It was a conversation piece. Every time you have get-togethers, whether it's a cookout, whether it's a card game, hanging out with somebody, I just feel like food brings people together. Food plays a major part in, you know, how I operate on a day-to-day. I think of in the back of my mind, it's like, you know what, making my mom proud. Like, this is something that she knew I loved, this is something she knew I adored, and this is a way for me to keep her with me every single day by doing something that we love to do together. One thing she used to ask me frequently is, can you make me something to eat? I hold that near and dear to my heart, because if someone's going through cancer and they're not really wanting to eat, and then they ask me to cook, it speaks volumes. I have a lot of older customers. If my mom was still here, like, they would have been like her age. What they tell me, was like, you know what, these collard greens are really good. But even Pete told me that. Pete Wells told me, he said my collard greens is good. I always wanted people to say, you know what, this is just as good as my mom or my grandmom. That's one of the things that we brought to the Bronx, old school type cooking. Set it and forget it. Oh, sugar. You know what I forgot? Oil.
Oil.
To fry the fish in. Like, how you gonna fry fish without oil? And catfish is one of those great southern staple fish. You can blacken it, you can fry it, you can bake it. It's very universal in cooking. Grew up in the Bronx, however, I went to church in Harlem. And between 122nd and 123rd Street and Lenox Avenue, there was a seafood restaurant called Majestic. I used to go to choir rehearsal on Fridays, and that was the thing to have. Like, I'm talking about, the lines would be wrapped around the corner. It was like the whole place smelled like fish, the bread tastes like fish, the french fries taste like fish, and it was just like the most delicious thing. And people will wait, I'm talking about 30, 40, an hour just to get this fish, and this was every Friday religiously. This is what we ate, and this is what we look forward to. True story. I think I've fried at least 20,000 pounds of fish. 200 to 500 a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. And I was in business for almost 3 years, not including all the fish I fried for friends and family. So you do the math on that. Don't that look good? We frying some fish. Hey, we frying some fish. Look, whatever makes the time go by quicker. I'm not too serious in the kitchen. Get it? For the most part, like when I go to kitchens, people like working with me. It's like, you know, it's supposed to be fun. Who wants to work with a yelling chef? I know I wouldn't. Southern food is togetherness. Southern food is family. When I cook in the kitchen, I think about my mom very much. I use like her cast iron skillet. A lot of love is in that cast iron skillet. I inherited my family, my 4 brothers and sisters, and before my mom passed away, she said, you know what, I know that you're gonna do a good job because the kids will be fed. When I got into the business, it wasn't necessarily about making a statement. It was about, you know, making good food and bringing something different, something that they haven't experienced in the borough of the Bronx before. Just simple, simplistic Southern food. It's so good. I'll eat this with some cornbread and some hot sauce, and I'll call it a day. The biggest struggle that I'm going through right now is like, you know, my restaurant was closed due to illegal gas plumbing work in the building, and it's been the hardest last few months of my life. But you know, I believe that there's a blessing in everything, and it's a minor setback for a major comeback. To put it all in perspective, it was never my main objective to open up a restaurant. It kind of happened. You know, I've catered and I cooked privately for so long. Well, one thing I can say about, you know, my restaurant closing, I was able to bring a lot of attention to a community that may be deemed disenfranchised. A lot of African-American chefs don't get necessarily the just due that they're deserved. Those people should get those opportunities that our non-African-American counterparts do get, and the recognition that they get, because we're deserving of it as well. I have a platform that can help people. Overall, if I can use my platform, my relationships to help somebody else, that's something, that's like my contribution of making someone happy. I know I'm not going to give up. The future of Millie Peartree would be me finding another place that I can call home for my restaurant, maybe writing a cookbook and winning a James Beard Award. Only thing I can say is that for those of you who know the words of prayer, please continue to pray my strength to the Lord. Because girl, I need it. I need a prayer, child. That's it.